Hi, Shady Grove family and internet friends. I'm Carrie LaCrum, and I've been a member at Shady Grove since 2003, and it's a joy to be with you today. We've been studying the Real Discipleship survey at church to help us reflect on where we are on our own faith journey. And there's a statement in the survey that I love. It says, I join Jesus in mission to others using my God-given gifts, talents, and passions. There are so many God-given gifts, talents, and passions at Shady Grove, and we've seen a lot of these emerge this year in really creative and non-traditional ways. Yes, the opportunity for the emergence of these has partially been created by the pandemic, but we've seen them emerge nonetheless. I personally have seen members of this church community step up in big ways financially, especially through things such as the COVID Relief Fund. For those unfamiliar, the COVID Relief Fund was created when one member of our church received their stimulus check and thought, I know there are people who need this money more than I do right now. They gifted that check to the church, allowing the church to make the best decision of how to give it to people most in need. When we told others about this, there were many, many more who stepped up and gave financially, and we've been able to help a lot of people in our Shady Grove community and our extended Richmond community through the generosity of our church members. This generosity has gotten me reflecting on my own gifts as well. And in thinking about my own financial gifts, I want to take you back to the fall of 2018. So that fall, my family and I were preparing to move to South Africa for a year. And among the many things we were trying to organize and coordinate, stewardship season was upon us. That year when we received our stewardship letter and request for planned giving, my husband and I originally planned not to give to Shady Grove in 2019. Our reasoning was pretty straightforward. We would not be participating in any of the activities of Shady Grove in 2019 because we would be living abroad. And we also wanted to be able to fully commit to a new church community once we were in South Africa, if we could find one. After a lot of consideration around this, we ultimately decided we should continue to support Shady Grove, at least at the level we had the year before. Knowing that even though we wouldn't be there physically, Shady Grove would continue to support us spiritually while abroad. And we also knew that just because we couldn't physically be here didn't mean our home church wouldn't have financial needs that we could support. We were really happy when we arrived in South Africa to pretty quickly find a church community that we love, and that welcomed us so openly. And so we began to give also financially and otherwise to this church as well. That meant that we were in some ways doubling down on our financial commitment to God's communities. It may not have felt like the best budgetary decision for our family at the time, but it quickly emerged as a doubling down that blessed us in ways we never could have anticipated. Both of our church homes became families to us, and both of our church families played a heavy hand in our sustained blessings throughout the year. I tell you this not to demonstrate how generous we are, but to say that we did something that year that we thought might be a financial stretch for us, and not once did it feel that way. Honestly, it showed us that we can give a little bit more. I remember my parents telling me when I was growing up and when I started giving on my own, that every time they decided to stretch a little bit more and give a little bit more beyond what they felt comfortable doing, they became more able to do so. And we felt that way ourselves in 2019. And it got me thinking about the word comfortable. Yes, we want everybody to be comfortable giving what they're able, and that's often what you're told when it comes to giving. It should be a choice you and your family make that is based on your own financial situation and not a comparison to others in the church. However, it really shouldn't be comfortable in the sense that you're giving what's easy for you to give. It shouldn't be comfortable in that you don't have to change anything about your lifestyle or mindset to do it. Everything about the way Jesus lived was uncomfortable. His example for us demonstrates sacrifice and boundless giving. Shouldn't living a Christ-centered life where you have to do hard things, make choices, and sacrifice extend to giving as well? Think about that when you make your pledges this year. What sacrifices can you make to give just a little bit more to this church and your community? Can you eat out a little bit less? Can you get home haircuts and save money that way? Can you make a few less trips to Starbucks or Target? Can you go on a vacation that you drive to instead of fly? If the pandemic has showed us anything, it's likely showed us how to simplify our lives. And that simplification may have resulted in some budgetary savings as well. Can you imagine the impact if everyone in our church thought about just one thing they could commit to doing to save money? Sacrifices that could then be converted into expanded giving to Shady Grove. What a huge impact that could be. I really hope you'll think about and reflect on this. I know my family is. These ideas that I just mentioned, they probably likely aren't even things that would really be much of a sacrifice for you. So use them as a starting point. Talk to your families, get some really creative ideas from your kids, and expand them into something even more challenging, more of a stretch, a little bit more uncomfortable. My family and I learned a lot about being uncomfortable when we were living abroad. We moved there not knowing anyone, and we took with us 7 suitcases and a hope and a prayer. Well, actually, we took lots of hope and lots of prayers, but we grew in about 1 billion different ways thanks to that experience. And it's one of the reasons that I can tell you that being uncomfortable and stretching yourself further than you thought you could may just be one of the best things that you ever do. So we're trying to apply that to our full lives this year, one of which is financial. Can we stretch a little bit past what we're comfortable giving? Can we sacrifice a little bit more in a way that requires us that we rely even more on our faith? Can we set an example we want to see and do see from others in our church community? I can't wait to see what this Shady Grove family can do.